Good evening. This is the indictments for President Trump and his cronies. And this, you will see filed from the court the list of those indicted for concealing the Constitution's checks and balances, that the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt, including the United States Supreme Court. When the United States Supreme Court is corrupt, that means that entire branch of government is corrupt. And this is for all America. There's that list. And in this list, you gotta really get shell-shocked. About to shake them all up. Because this includes President Donald Trump. And then Donald Trump, this is United States Court already been filed for his indictment and arrest. Congress must impeach the indictment for the impeachment of President Trump. That's right. It's already been filed in court. Here you go. You see those seals? Those are the court seals. Date on that you can see right here, April 15th. And that is only the first list. This list includes President Donald Trump. The list includes United States Secretary of the Treasury, Stephen Mnuchin. The list includes Indiana Vanderburgh County Judge David Kiley. The list includes Federal Judge Richard Young, Judge Tanya Pratt, Chief Judge Jane E. Magnus Stinson, Seventh Circuit Chief Judge Diane Woods, Congressman Larry Bucshon, Facebook owner Mark Zuckerberg, who's blocked this from all the Facebook participants to conceal the government's corruption. This list includes Channel 44 owner Juan McCoy, and their case is that they air whatever they want to air. So listen what they didn't air. They ain't aired that the President of the United States has been indicted for his impeachment of office for violation of oath of office because the checks and balances is an essential part of the Constitution, mandatory by law, obligatory both morally and by law. This is what he took an oath of office to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. So the President violates that in obstruction of justice to conceal the judicial branch's corruption. Because there's a 52 fake out. An intricate plot. And that plot is the current United States Supreme Court justices have gotten old. And they need to be replaced. And they intend on replacing them with justices in the same mind state of reverting back to the Maryland doctrine of exclusion to keep blacks subordinate. This is non-confrontational, non-competitive. And in doing so, that is why the United States Secretary of the Treasury, Stephen Mnuchin, is involved, because they reverted back to imposing slavery. The whole nation knows that's got to be a cover-up. They don't want that out the box. They want to keep that in Pandora's box. Once again, you got United States Supreme Court imposing slavery. Now the motive was to deny at that time $50 million by the continued oppression, meaning by the Maryland doctrine of exclusion. They have no intention of paying for imposing slavery, a miscarriage of justice, of which the Treasury must pay. And when you violate that, you also violate the 14th Amendment right to due process. Otherwise, it wouldn't be imposing slavery. But once you violated that due process, imposing an all-white jury in violation of the unalienable right, all men are created equal, that they never don't want nothing like that. All men are created equal. That means the black man is equal to the white man. These are those that have reverted back to that through racism. Now, when we go into this here, you gotta drop it. Because Donald Trump, there was a vacancy for United States Marshal's office. And as you see, I've, right here. This here, filed, but look to the side over there, and you're gonna see a stamp that is from the United States Marshal's office, because that's who gotta go and arrest him. Now, at this United States Federal Court, the Southern District of Indiana, the United States Marshal said they was not going to arrest nobody. That's what the United States Marshals do. They arrest any and everybody because no one is above the law. So when I say this is a part of that judicial branch of government, when I said that the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt, this is including all of them. You see how many judges there were. You see Nancy Pelosi concealing this from the public. She's the Speaker of the House. She's called to take this to the floor. Reason why she got to take that to the floor, where you seen Congressman Larry Bucshon, that's my congressman. He works for me. Petition him take to the floor of the House. Take to the floor of the Senate. None of these representatives took this to the floor because they're concealing it, taking absolute power. If you take absolute power, total disregard to the Constitution, that's treason because you're taking over the government. Now, as I said, this list includes Nancy Pelosi. You got the Speaker of the House. So let's shake it up a little bit more, because included in there also is the United States Attorney General William Barr. And that's who the United States Marshal Service is supposed to report to. So to uphold the integrity of the Constitution, these are all criminals. That's where the indictments, that's where they have an indictment. By in or around June 12th, 2017. See, the money owed is $2,730,000,000 because of continued oppression. So from this date, June the 12th, 2017, good goosey, this is June the 9th, 2019, almost 2 years being in office, the President of the United States refused to honor the Constitution checks and balances. That's what upholds the integrity of the Constitution. They must be checked. Oh, well, guess what? Jump the weasel, because they gotta face me. I'm the one with the evidence that the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt, that the judicial branch of government defaulted on the 14th Amendment right to due process regarding the 6th Amendment right to a trial by a fair and impartial jury. They impose an all-white jury. Federal law says it must be a cross-section of the community. This ain't what they did. Not only that, Judge David Kiley overrules both the state and the federal constitutions. Hey, first thing first, this Mnuchin guy got paid $2,730,000,000 to me for continued oppression. Because the oppression of a people requires immediate restitution. That's why they gotta be arrested. Now, first of all, when I said that Trump did this, it didn't just happen one time, because once, we always say human error, twice intentionally refusing to abide or concede to the Constitution's checks and balances. Now here it is again, President Donald Trump. This is for all to see. There it is. Petition to the President of the United States, October 24th, 2018. President Trump honored the Constitution checks and balances immediately or be impeached. See, this was what Nancy Pelosi was actually talking about. But she's not going to do it because with me doing the Constitution checks and balances, the crooked judges and everybody involved in the judicial branch of government are held accountable. If they do it, slick, they ain't not slick to a can of oil. Trying to tell you what's up. Yeah. They do it, they just gonna impeach the president. They gonna leave the rest of this racial in place because it's already been in place. It was in place before President Trump arrived. As a matter of fact, it was in place with Barack Obama. So this is the second list of indictments. So in all reality, all y'all have been cheering for Barack Obama. His name will be on the next list. But racism is the ability to control someone's faith or destiny. Now, in this, as I bring to the table, I prove what I'm saying because, first of all, to use the Constitution checks and balances, you got to have evidence that the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt. So, in doing that, as I've done in the previous episodes on YouTube, trying to wake America up to the Constitution checks and balances, which is mandatory by law. That this is the judge who did it, David Conley. These are the transcripts. At this point, there are no blacks in the jury or the venire. They're already in violation. Constitution required for it to be a cross-section of the community. America is a melting pot. And this white supremacy stuff being continued is now against the law. That's a violation of Title 18, Section 242, denying rights under the color of the law, because these are the officials, these are the judges. You wonder why we had all those judges. You see, understand, if we get rid of Trump, like I said, the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt. We got corrupt politicians in the legislative branch of government. As you've seen, Larry Bucshon's name is on that list because he was petitioned to take that to the floor of the House and refused to take that to the floor of the House. Concealing, that's another title, 1001, concealing this, that is of a material fact. And as you see, when I show this on up here, that's material fact. That's the Constitution petition of checks and balances. You can't deny that. You have to address that. Even Congress got to address that. Here it is. Trump commits in violation of the Constitution's oath of office, and at that time, you can see that it was $1,045 million. But if you look closely, now how the judge did it, first of all, they denied the right to freedom of the press. Freedom of the press is one of the safeguards of the Constitution. They violate the safeguards of the Constitution. These are criminals. That's prohibited. They violating the prohibition not to do this. These are criminals. So, as saying that they are criminals, the U.S. Marshal Service has to go and arrest them. Congress has to address the Constitution checks and balances, and I am the one that they got to face, because the checks and balances empower citizen when these laws are unjust. A citizen, because in all actuality, somebody wake up Have some common sense. And the common sense is simple. If the government itself is corrupt, then it would take a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It has to be one of the citizens to address this, to hold them up to this. This you got to do right here. Checks and balances, you got to be checked. There's evidence. So while President Trump was talking about the integrity of it, he was lying. He's called out. President Trump is being called out, petitioned by the Constitution, checks and balances, which is an essential part of the Constitution that upholds the integrity of the Constitution, requiring the judicial branch of government to be checked for abuse of power pursuant to Article 1, Section 9, powers denied government. Powers denied government. See, I ain't just walking and talking. I'm talking that talk, and I'm backing it up. Called walking the walk. Can you dig it, baby? And then, like I said, it's changed the whole spectrum, because then now, that's what the checks and balances do, an entire branch of government. That means it's a whole lot, and these are going to be the top officials. That's going to be a part of it. So when these U.S. Marshals, they're going to arrest anybody else, they got a wall of the 10 most wanted up there, and they're going to try and arrest them, catch them. But now that you have a list with the politicians in there, they don't want to arrest nobody. Hold up, wait a minute. They poured up. As I say, President Donald Trump, United States Secretary of Treasury Stephen Mnuchin, Indiana Vandenberg County Judge David Kiley, Federal Judge Richard Young, Judge Tanya Pratt, Chief Judge Jane E. Magna Stinson, Seventh Circuit Chief Judge Diane Woods, Congressman Larry Bucshon. He was petitioned. That's what they're supposed to do. They're in the Oversight Committee. Now, you got the Channel 14 owner, DeWan McCoy, and they're saying that they have total discretion as to what they air. So, you are not airing that the president has violated oath of office? This is what you're not airing? You are not airing that the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt? This is what you're not airing? That is obstruction of justice. Now, as to this other that I showed you, these are criminals. All Title 18s are criminal acts. And so now, the judges denied the right to freedom of the press, which the First Amendment said that's an evil. It's an evil for the media to do it by censorship, because that's what censorship is. You deciding what you gonna put on. But the Constitution is deep in that. You see what I'm saying? By knowing what and the evils that man do, that's why it says it's an evil for the media to censor it, to prevent it from going on. In other words, they're concealing the government corruption, and they're playing a part in it. They're a part of the problem, not an answer to the solution. Then you got the judges who are to enforce this. When they deny this, what part of guarantees that they don't get is guaranteed. So if in order for it to be guaranteed, if it's being denied, the judges have to enforce it. What's the judges doing? They concealing it too. Not only are they concealing, they're denying the rule of law, because the transcripts that I just showed you that right there, ain't no blacks on that jury, not a jury of my peers. Then you want to pop something off real good. United States Supreme Court, baby. Yeah, this is what they're trying to keep. Reason why they denying freedom of the press, that the United States Supreme Court itself is corrupt. Petition required judiciary to account for a man's imprisonment. This is what the United States Supreme Court did when I said they imposed slavery. The judiciary, or the justices of the Supreme Court, which must review and give judgment affirming or reversing a conviction. Why is that? Because the previous conviction is void. That's right. That's right. So crooked that it did not comply with the fundamentals of due process. So the habeas corpus is guaranteed, which is violated by a counsel that has denied the writ's review to withhold judgment which is required by the United States Supreme Court Justices' disposition for relief that was first sought in the lower courts. The courts violate the Ninth Amendment, denying my right to freedom retained by the people. Everybody got this. It's retained by the people. But they deny it. You see, when they deny the right to a trial by a fair and impartial jury, that is the unalienable right in the Declaration of Independence. So, there you have them violating all three charters of freedom, because that's the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. That Sixth Amendment right is part of the Bill of Rights. That is the Declaration of Independence and the laws of the United States. The entire judicial branch of government is corrupt. And now, let's move on, because it gets real good up in here. The director of the United Marshal Service, who is Donald W. Washington. This has been sent to him. Reference to United States Marshal Services to arrest officials violating Title 18 and the First Amendment when no one is above the law. Nobody. But now they not going to arrest somebody? Come on now. They cannot refuse to arrest white people of renown. That's the governor, the judges, all these people, the rich people, Jeff Zucker, president of CNN. You're responsible for them not doing this. No one is above the law. They have responsibility for all operations, and your officials are refusing to arrest persons indicted by me, but I got power. Oh, that's part of the Maryland Doctrine of Exclusion and Roger Taney, who said that they're not going to respect any rights that a black man has. That was the former United States Supreme Court Chief Justice Roger Taney who said that back in the day. So they more or less reverted back to what they was doing rather than abiding by the law. Those criminals. They are judges, those are the criminals. He has responsibility for all operations. That's Donald Washington of the U.S. Marshal Service, and your officials are refusing to arrest persons indicted by me, to say, empowered by the Constitution, checks and balances. That branch of government has to be checked. That's why I'm empowered. It's me against them. Hold up, wait a minute. Why are they running, ducking, and hiding? First thing first, Bill of Rights, which no just government on earth can refuse or rest on inference. So they can't refuse this, and rest on inference means they can't delay it. But they done nothing but to delay it. They ain't got no other option but delaying it, and that's not an option, because by the rule of law, mandatory by law, it's got to be heard. Guess what? This is the real indictment and impeachment of the President of the United States, Donald Trump. And this is what the judges have concealed, what Congress has concealed, what they all conceal from the American public. I'm just saying, those are corrupt officials, and they have to be arrested and indicted. And if Donald Washington, who just happens to be a black man, I told him right off the jump, first, I'm going to let you see it. Read it slow. First, I'm going to tell you what you're not going to do. And in reference, I'm talking to the director of the U.S. Marshal Service, Donald in Washington. What he's not going to do, because I got power. It's me versus them. You down in Washington are not going to be a Black Sambo. As Director of the United States Marshal Service, it's your responsibility for your office to arrest whomever is indicted, calling for the arrest from the courts. As you see, and as you see, they received it. Signed it, said received it. I bust a move on it. So sweet, you know what I'm saying? Got a word. That in this right here, I already knew that they was talking about they refusing to go and arrest him because that's white supremacy. White supremacy in its essence is denying the rights of black peoples and minorities, because we ain't the only ones they do this to, and not being held accountable for it. And being indicted, then the next thing calls for your arrest. Now, those are the men that are supposed to arrest the U.S. Marshals, and they're refusing to arrest them. So they are involved. That's their involvement as a cover-up, the same as prosecutors covered up for the judges, refuse to indict them for denying the safeguards of the Constitution, for denying the guaranteed right to freedom of the press. So that there is no transparency, because we got to see what they doing. That's what transparency is all about. We need to see what they doing in government. Now, as I said, you got these people and they saying they're not going to arrest him. Now, as I said before, they ain't supposed to report to United States Attorney General William Barr, who has also been indicted. Time for him to go. Got to get up out of office, man. That's over with. You took an oath to preserve and defend the Constitution, same as the president did. So, since they was refusing to do that, on the last page, they were supposed to arrest and started May 31st. And as you see, they ain't arrested nobody. That's national news for Nancy Pelosi to be indicted and arrested by the U.S. Marshals. So empowered by the Constitution, checks and balances, which is mandatory by law. They're not following the law. Just Miller, dated May 31st. Received by the U.S. Marshals. Copied to be faxed to the executives by the signing marshal. So the guy that signed, well, he put a stamp on it this time, but the guy that signed for this is supposed to fax this to his superiors. Because this big time, baby, as big as it get. This is the big stage. The NBA stage, the World Series stage, in politics, this is that. And it don't get no bigger. Unprecedented. Evidence that the United States Judicial Branch of government is corrupt. Unprecedented that a citizen is doing this. Unprecedented that the money involved, because, hey, corruption, money, power, and pussy. All right, so here we go. The money involved is $2 billion. 730 million. Coming to me, man. That's right. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Jump past $1 million to $1 billion. But in all reference to what happened, you just see the documents right here calling for President of the United States. The buck stops with the president. It was 145 million then. President of the United States ain't did nothing because he is acting in defiance of, and then, I mean, you got Tom Steyer. Tom Steyer got his little petition out for the impeachment of all the crimes that President Trump has committed. That ain't how you impeach the president. You impeach the president like you do right now with Constitution checks and balances where they must be checked. This is what prompted Richard Nixon to resign. Constitution checks and balances. Impeachment of that guy that was doing that thing with that girl. Hey, Clinton, man, I almost forgot about you, man. But yeah, now, you got him out of there before the actual impeachment for the being accountable, what we got to do to you for doing that came down. But yeah, that's that right there. The Constitution checks and balances is how this is done. Now, Tom Steyer is a slick move with them too, because as being a billionaire, I know you got word from somewhere that I'm doing this Constitution checks and balances. This is how it's done. I got the evidence, irrefutable evidence, impossible to deny or disprove. Can't even disprove this. You just see the transcript. They ain't got nothing they can handle with it. So what else can they do but try to cover it up because they caught? Now the indictments come down. Hey, Donald Washington, don't indict them. Go and arrest them as they've been indicted by tomorrow because he had this for a whole week. Oh yeah, I got it on recording too. Where I talked to your secretaries and where you delegated it to somebody else. That's why Magic Johnson quit as president of the Lakers. Come on, man. That's all 52. You really don't have that power. If I want to get rid of him, I can get rid of him. No, hold up, man. You really don't have that power. Well, so it's all 52 fake out. Black Sambo, Uncle Tommy, you do whatever I tell you to do. But in all reality, boy, the 13th Amendment not only set us free, but we be treated as the same as white people. So when you get that position, you do what you're supposed to do in that position. Same thing as the NBA Finals in the Mark Stevens push lottery. You got to be held accountable. So the president's got to be held accountable. Stephen Mnuchin's got to be held accountable because don't say you was waiting for the Judicial Branch to give you the okay because you knew that the checks and balances already been filed, that the Judicial Branch government is corrupt. So you had to go on the evidence of you seeing in the transcripts, and I got that power. But you don't want to respect the black man's power. Yeah, I got it. And it's me that's indicting y'all. And it's me that's going to give y'all that time for what y'all done in violation of the Constitution. And like I said, June 10th is tomorrow. Yeah. It went not only just Stephen Mnuchin, but the deputy, Justin Mucinix. He refused to do it. Yeah. And like I said, Donald Washington, you see this list of those to be indicted. Pages 1 and 2 with no Nancy Pelosi involved in this, Speaker of the House. You gotta go make these arrests. You don't make these arrests, then I send conspiracy to deny rights. That's my right, man. I got power, man. Not just a right, it's power. It empowers me. I got power now. Oh, it's a game changer. Status quo. President of the United States. Empowered by the Constitution. Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House. Nancy Pelosi. Empowered to be the Speaker of the House by the Constitution. Hello? I'm in the game. I'm a part of this now. I'm supposed to be in Washington. Yeah, that's right. Addressing Congress about the entire judicial branch of government being corrupt, about the legislative branch, which they are a part of and never honored the Constitution checks and balances. And, as you already seen, the indictment for the impeachment of President Trump has already been done. We do not have to wait for Congress to do nothing. It's a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, and the veteran. Oh yeah, I serve to protect the country with my life. Here I go again. And immediate restitution, paying me $2,730,000,000 by tomorrow, not by tomorrow. We're gonna recalculate that because I know it's past $3 billion right now. That's how long. You see 2 years go by And they've been sitting around doing that because they have no intentions to comply with the demands of the Constitution of the United States of America. President Trump better step up right now, because as I see it right now, you can go down the streets and that's life imprisonment. Oh yeah, and not only that, Title 18, Section 241 carries about 10 years. You ain't got that in you, Trump. Like I told you, man, it's like this, and it's real simple. Ed Smallwood in the house. Big Ed, a legend. Division II championships. What can you do with chicken? You cannot make chicken salad out of chicken shit. Can't do it. So Humpty Dumpty, while sitting on the wall, Humpty Dumpty had a big fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men can't put Donald Trump back together again. It's impeachment time. Showtime, and I represent we the people, cause I'm a hustler, baby. $2,730,000,000. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, above and beyond the call of duty to uphold the Constitution of the United States, to defend democracy. That's what I've done, while the others turned their head to these criminals. They criminals, they got to be arrested. Thank you very much, America. It's that time. It's got to be a showtime. Me against them. The biggest platform. The United States checks and balances. Watergate again, baby.